Hello, welcome to Kismetic. Welcome to episode 5. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about schools and the education system and how this entire thing came about, what does it do, and all about that. Now, I just wanted to understand a little bit how much of our lives do we give in to education? About 15, 16 years of our life, assuming that you've done schooling, then junior college, and then senior college. So that's about 15, 16 years of your life, correct? Now, what happens? Now we all have access to psychology and neuroscience, epigenetics, and all of this stuff. We know that the age from 0 to 7 of a child are very tender because they are in the theta brainwave. That means they become their surrounding, they absorb everything that is around them. Whether good or bad, he doesn't have the discernment, but he absorbs it all. And we also know that, from 7 to 14 is where we slowly start to have our own identity. However, we are very deeply influenced by everything we've absorbed from 0 to 7. And then finally, we reach our early teens, early adulthood, and that's where we start to know who we are. Okay? This we all know. Now, what if I tell you that schools are a system that is used to brainwash you? As we've spoken in the earlier episodes, that the history we've learned is false. Most of the things that we are told to believe are not true. And even if they are true, they are a tiny part of the entire truth. So, in its own way, it is a lie. So, if I am telling you that this is O, what is O? I am trying to say this is orange. That is the reality. But I am only telling you O. That's how the education system works. Now you only tell me, in your schooling years, you've learned trigonometry, you've learned algebra, you've learned geometry, you've learned all this good stuff about geography, history, which is quite the false one. And tell me how much of this has actually come to use in your life. Why is it that the schools are not teaching us life skills? Why? Why is it that the ultra elite like Elon Musk has a school of his own? Ad Astra, I believe it's called. Why? When his sons, his children can go to the best of the best schools, he yet opens his own school. Why? Back in the day, even 100, 200 years ago, if, for example, I want to become a doctor, logically, how would one become a doctor? You want to become a doctor, you logically find a mentor who is a doctor and then spend your time in a hospital. Over the years, you will observe, you will learn, you will do, and then you will know. So basically, anybody can become anything under the right guidance and the appropriate environment. So that means you can also become a doctor. I can also become the doctor. But a schooling system tells us that no, only the smartest of the smartest become doctors. Already is implying that because I'm not a doctor, I'm dumb. It's a direct implication. Now, if you know about the Indian society, they are so deeply brainwashed where they just want their children to become engineers, doctors, and lawyers. They cannot see beyond these three. Why? Because they're brainwashed that these are like the ultimate things to be, and these are the ultimate lives, and you're doing such good work, and all of that stuff. It is brainwashing. I'm not taking away from the roles of each of these. They are very important and they hold great value. However, believing that these are the only worthy roles to play is what is false. So, as I said earlier, that today if you want to become a doctor, now you'll spend time with a doctor, you'll sit in a hospital, in 2-3 years time you yourself will learn and become a doctor. That's how simple it is. Now you tell me, if someone, say for you, you're extremely privileged. Now you've gone to, I don't know, Harvard. Let's just say that Harvard is a medical school. I don't know if it is. But anyway, let's just assume. And you've gone to Harvard and you've spent 3 to 4 years of your life studying and understanding everything in theory. And I have gone directly to the hospital under the correct guidance and done the same thing for 3-4 years. Now you tell me, who has actually learned? Obviously the one who spent time under a doctor, with a doctor, amongst nurses, in the hospital, because the one in Harvard has basically done mental masturbation, where I'm not saying that theory is not important, but experience is the only way one truly learns. So today you can even take social media as an example. There is information available left, right, and center. Correct? This is called mental masturbation. Because you think you have read everything and you think that in your head you have done some great work. Oh, now I know this, now I know this, now I know this. But what are you going to do knowing things? You have to apply them, you have to embody them. That's what the real juice of a fruit is. Otherwise, you're just very happy with just like the peel of the orange. You're like, oh yeah, I got a peel of the orange, peel of the orange. What are you going to do with the peel? The damn fruit is in the wisdom of things, not in the knowing of things. And that's what this entire system creates. Firstly, it tells you you're smart, you're dumb. So it creates that distinction. Then it tells you that, oh, only some people can do this. You cannot do this. Again, there is a drift. And they are making you believe that some of us are special, but the others are not. The whole system of grading and giving exams and tests and all of that it doesn't make sense. You give the person experience and the person will automatically learn. You know, that's how one does learn. Why is it that people study and then they are told, oh, the real world doesn't work like this? Then what the hell was the point of studying? Have you ever questioned all of this? School doesn't help you learn. It gives you the illusion of knowing. It's an illusion of information. What are you going to do with the information? Let's take my example. I have not studied psychology. I have not studied CPTSD, psychiatry. I have not studied any of this. But the fact that I have lived it, today, when I speak to my psychologist friends, I see that there's not much distinction in what they know and what I understand, because I have lived it and they have spent 3-4 years learning it. I have spent 6-7 years living it and getting out of it. Now, if you ask me and you ask even my friends, they say that I have actually had better exposure and better understanding through the experience of the subject. Let's go into the past. Let's go into history. There were 3 free education schools that had opened. Now, they provided free education to everybody, keeping it compulsory but also free. Now, that sounds like a really good deal, right? I'm talking about the time when schools didn't exist. None of this existed. But then came across 2-3 institutions where they were like, now it's compulsory to do it and it's free. We are giving this to you. Now, we know one thing, anything that is free is not really free, is it? There's always an exchange, whether we know it or we don't know it. You take Instagram, for example, it's free to download, but eventually we become the products of it. So anything given to you for free is taking something from you, whether you know it or you don't. Correct? Now, let's talk about these free public schools that had opened up back in the day. It was called, the first one was called Sparta. Okay? It was one of 1,000 city-states where children were sent to school at the age of 4 or 5 and they were bullied by 10, 12-year-olds. This was in Sparta. The second one is Aztec. Aztec, they gave free compulsory education. It was the greatest war society in Central America at the time. They also performed human sacrifices. These are pointers I just need you to hear out. And the final one is called Prussia, which our current education system is following in this moment. It was engaged initially in war making. Now, why is it said that Sparta, Aztec, and Prussia were there? Because they wanted to initiate war. Back in the day, this was the motive. Why? Because you then take children at that vulnerable age of 5 and 6. Then you take them away from their parents, which is their security, who will keep them safe, guide them properly. You separate that vulnerable child and put them into an institution. Now, in the institution, who is the child going to listen to? The child is going to listen to the teacher. And the teacher is taught a curriculum that is meant to brainwash them. So now this child has lost his identity, lost his guiding safety net, and is being brainwashed that this is your history, this is your geography, this is your nation, this is what it is, and that child grows up firstly distorted in its being. Okay, back in the day, they used to brainwash them that this is your nation, you must fight for it if we need you to fight, and that's how they used to create brainwashed soldiers to do what they didn't internally want to do. Today, in today's day, using the Prussian system, they create a war within ourselves. When you are saying you are smart, you are dumb, you are capable of being a doctor, you are not capable of being a doctor. Oh, this test defines your intelligence. Oh, because you didn't do well on this exam, it means that you are dumb. These are very two-dimensional ways of seeing things and defining us when we are not two-dimensional, we are five-dimensional. So we are minimizing ourselves in order to fit into this system. Now, the system is very small. The system is the size of my eye, and I am the size of this glass. Tell me, how is this glass going to fit into the eye? It will have to break and fragment and absolutely become something it is not, creating such distortion amongst within me that I start feeling powerless, helpless, deeply vulnerable, alone. And therefore, because all of this is going on within me, I become extremely easy to sway and control. You can take an example of a dog. If a dog is starving, has been not fed, not given water, literally nothing, that dog will eat anything. That dog will eat poison also. The dog will smell something, as long as it's something to eat, he smells something fishy and he'll yet eat it. Why? Because he's in that state of desperation. The society wants us to remain desperate. It is the planning of this entire structure where they will separate you from your main sense of safety, which are your parents. Now, they will make sure that the parents are also so busy that they cannot be with the child while the child is learning. Why? Because now the parents have to earn money, otherwise they will not have food on the table for their children. So you see, there's a lack upstairs, there's a lack being integrated into the child, there is a lack. And in that lack comes powerlessness, helplessness. Oh my God, we need to accumulate, we need to save, for the future. So you are living in absolute anxiety, in a depressed state, because you are playing a role that is not yours. You are not authentic within yourself. There is an internal war going on in you. You are not fulfilled, but you are just ticking the checkbox that society and your parents want you to tick. And that's why it is very important to wake up. To wake up. All of this sounds psychotic, like I'm losing my mind, but this is the reality. What is going to happen if you just decide to just not play along with this entire game? What is this entire conversation all over the internet about the matrix? What is the matrix? The matrix is this. It is exactly everything that has been told from episode 1 to this one. So it's very important to understand what is the reality of what is going on. Now, schools, through geography, through their false history, they create the whole subject of a nation state. What is a nation state? So let's backtrack. Back in the day, if I had to define who I am, I would say that I am part of this clan because I am a part of this community where I know everybody. And that was who I became. And that is how I used to identify myself. Today, it is thrusted upon us that you are an Indian. I don't know any of these people, and we are all supposed to be one. And if something ever happens to the country, I have to give away my identity and my life to go fight for the country. This is what used to happen in the past. And today, what's happening is, we are separated from our community, and there is a war going on within us. Because the truth is something, and we know this intuitively, but our logic that has been brainwashed is taking us this way, and our intuition is taking us this way. So we in the center are getting torn apart, which is why there is so much misery, which is why there is anxiety, depression, all these mental health problems that did not exist in the past. Are you understanding? In the past, there were no schools. In the past, there were no mental health issues. In the past, there were barely any governments. There was fair trade going on. Everything was happening perfectly fine. We were with nature. Now we are going against nature. We are destroying the very nature that helps us heal. Children are not meant to spend their childhood in closed classrooms with synthetic LED lights and someone telling them what to do. They are meant to be out in the open, in nature, falling, getting themselves up, getting spatial awareness, knowing how to balance, knowing how to walk on different terrains. This is what creates their neurons. Sorry, I was thinking. But it's what helps in brain development. All of this is important, but our schools don't do that. They want you to sit. When you have ultimate energy, ultimate vitality, you are told to sit. You feel like running. Imagine there's a dog who's getting his zoomies, but now you are forcing him to sit. What's going to happen over a period of time? That dog is going to get depressed. Once he gets depressed, then comes depression, anxiety, cancer, and this game goes on. So, coming back to nation state. Nation state is the false implant that is put into our heads, that there is only one nation and you belong to this one nation and you must do anything to protect this one nation, and all of that stuff. Now we know how governments even function. They make big promises, and then do they match up? And this is something that happens every election, but we keep having hope that no, now they're going to save us, so you see that sense of agency within ourselves to save ourselves has been handed to an external authority. That's why the children that actually disobey or challenge authority are the real leaders of tomorrow. This is very clear. And you will see this. The rebels are the ones who land up leading, whereas the ones who have been quietly nodding their head become the employees that continue to have authority beyond themselves. We must understand that so-called modernity is the whole concept of nation state, which has come through monotheism. Sorry, I blanked out there. Which has come through monotheism. Correct? Now, monotheism in itself is a whole entire mimicry. And I'll tell you one more thing. Monotheism believes that there is one authority, one God. What happens when there is only one authority? And now that authority cannot help you. Now you have no option. You are helpless. You don't know where to go. You don't know. You feel unsupported. You don't know what else you can do. So you become vulnerable, and then you are easily controlled. Simple. And in monotheism, we are introduced to the concept of money through the concept of individual, my, to the concept of nation state. And these are all concepts beyond the human experience, and therefore it has to be drilled into us. If something was naturally a part of human experience, we wouldn't need drilling, we wouldn't need brainwashing, because it would be natural, we would know. So, some examples of monotheist religions, for example, would be Christianity, Islam, Judaism. They all believe in only one God, and every other God is crap. And now tomorrow, if that one God goes against them or says something or doesn't help them, then they're helpless, then they're vulnerable, easily swayed. Are you understanding? It's an entire pattern. We must understand that power equals to alchemy. Now, alchemy is that entire process of turning lead into gold, the process of turning nothing into everything. There is nothing happening, there is nothing going on, but it's this creation of our need to believe that they know more than we know, that we are lesser than, that we are subordinate, that we are so messed up amongst ourselves because of this distortion that has taken place through our education system and through other people that have been so deeply engrossed in this distortion that they sort of projected onto us. Now we are distorted, so we can't trust ourselves, so now we have to trust the authority outside, and the authority outside is what is controlling us, and this is the whole game of power. This entire system, it actually happened by accident. So no one has gone and mastermind planned it, but it has happened over the course of time, and this entire accident is favoring again the powerful. They are keeping you desperate, keeping you in scarce mindset, keeping you working hard, keeping you wasting your present moment, and keeping you just constantly wanting to strive for more, strive for more, strive for more. I want you to talk to the richest people or the people that have gone from rags to riches and ask them. Just ask them what happens. Because when you are down here, there's so much you can eat, there's so much you can drink, there's so much space you can occupy, there's so much you can do. And when you are here, same amount. There's only so much you need only this bed, you need only that bed. Now you can get a big bed, but you only require this much. Why is it that they say that the richest of riches and the poorest of poor ultimately die in the same place? It's a very symbolic thing to think about. People need to start thinking for themselves. You have a mind, apply it, use it. I'm not saying listen to me. I'm not saying believe me. I'm saying use your mind and believe what you know to be true. Thank you. So, I hope you understand why most people today live miserable lives because of this distortion that has been created in us. We know how to innately live our lives the way that we know is best for us. But society entrusts all this nonsense upon us, and because we have been in a vulnerable place, take it in. But this is to remind you that you can also take it out. And this is the whole process of unlearning.